who hates when I win. The winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces.
Something strange is happening inside Disney. A quiet panic spreading through boardrooms, press offices, and movie sets. One film, Snow White, was supposed to be a triumphant update of a classic. Instead, it triggered a collapse nobody in Hollywood saw coming. Billions of dollars, years of brand loyalty, all suddenly at risk. And the real story? It's even more chaotic and shocking than you've been told. For years, Disney's live-action remakes were seen as bulletproof. No matter how cynical or lazy they seemed, audiences kept showing up. Beauty and the Beast shattered box office records. The Lion King, a shot-for-shot animated clone, pulled in over $1.6 billion worldwide. Aladdin, despite early fears, and Backlash stunned everyone with its billion-dollar success. Executives believed they had cracked the code. Dip into nostalgia, give it a modern coat of paint, and watch the cash roll in. It worked, until it didn't. The early warning signs around Snow White weren't loud. They were whispers. Insiders saying the set was divided. Creative clashes between writers, producers, and executives. Half the team wanted a faithful retelling. The other half was determined to tear up the old story and rebuild it from scratch. And while audiences might not notice these behind-the-scenes battles immediately, the seams always find a way to show. And then came the first leaks. Test screenings painted a grim picture. Early viewers complained about tonal whiplash, moments of childish humor jammed against long, heavy lectures on empowerment and societal issues. It didn't feel like a fairy tale anymore. It felt like homework. Fans who grew up loving the magic of the 1937 original were confused. Younger audiences, the ones Disney desperately wanted to win over, seemed uninterested, but the real disaster was still waiting in the wings. And her name was Rachel Zegler. At first, Disney's casting of Zegler as Snow White was celebrated. She was young, talented, and seemed perfect to introduce the character to a new generation. But then the interviews started. Zegler didn't just distance herself from the original film, she tore into it publicly, calling the story outdated and weird, dismissing the romance between Snow White and her prince as creepy. In an era where online narratives can explode in seconds, these comments were a grenade thrown straight into...
And very evidently so. There is a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Disney's carefully crafted PR machine. Fans were furious. And then came the rumor that really set the internet on fire. A story that during a closed-door press event, Zegler clashed so hard with critics that security had to intervene. Whether it was true or not didn't matter. It felt true in an online ecosystem already primed to distrust Hollywood's constant reboots and rewrites. Boycott Snow White trended globally. Memes exploded. Video after video roasted Disney for destroying one of its most iconic stories. Behind the scenes, things were even uglier. Crew members began leaking details anonymously. The set, they said, had been a nightmare. Last-minute rewrites were constant, sometimes arriving mere hours before filming scenes. Directors and producers battled daily over tone and messaging. Some scenes had to be reshot multiple times because of new script changes. The overall feeling?
That those executives like Spielberg are looking at that, saying, Rachel Zegler can F right off.
Nobody knew what movie they were making. One technician described it best. It felt like two completely different movies were being stitched together with duct tape, and you could see every seam. Audience feedback confirmed those fears. Test viewers called out the movie's jarring tone shifts, awkward dialogue, and inconsistent characters. The magic was missing, replaced by a clumsy attempt to be both nostalgic and aggressively modern at the same time. Disney wasn't just worried about Snow White flopping. They were worried it would poison the brand for years to come, and that's when the real panic set in. Instead of sticking to the plan and trying to salvage Snow White with a mega marketing push, Disney executives started pulling back, quietly. They began canceling, or at least indefinitely delaying, every live-action remake still in development. Projects like Hercules, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and even rumored reboots of Pocahontas and the Aristocats were suddenly put on ice. There was no big press announcement. No "we're rethinking our strategy" moment. Just silence. One by one, projects vanished from production calendars and casting boards. Writers were quietly released. Directors were told to move on. Disney wasn't just trying to minimize losses. They were trying to erase the evidence, because the truth is, Disney's live-action empire wasn't built on quality. It was built on inertia. Nostalgia was the drug, and for a while, it worked like magic. But audiences, especially younger audiences, are changing. They're craving authenticity, new stories, fresh voices, and Disney's endless recycling of old IPs was starting to feel desperate, even insulting. The collapse of Snow White forced a reckoning inside the Mouse House. No longer could they rely on easy billion-dollar rehashes. No longer could they assume that slapping familiar branding on a shaky script would be enough. The financial stakes were massive. Disney has been struggling in other areas too, with a declining stock price, lukewarm theme park attendance, and fierce competition from streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon Prime. Losing the live-action remake pipeline wasn't just a creative blow, it was a financial one he could hardly afford right now. And what about Rachel Zegler? The backlash against her became so severe that Disney reportedly pulled her from promotional tours entirely. PR handlers tried to bury her interviews. Damage control teams flooded social media with positive messaging, desperately trying to drown out the tidal wave of negativity. But the internet never forgets. Clips of Zegler's controversial interviews kept resurfacing, racking up millions of views. Every attempt to reframe the narrative fell flat. Meanwhile, traditional Disney loyalists, families who once blindly supported every project, began pulling away. Parents expressed frustration. Fans who grew up with the original fairy tales said they no longer recognized the magic that once made Disney special. This wasn't just about one movie. It was about a company losing its identity. Today, inside Disney's highest levels, executives are faced with an uncomfortable truth. The easy wins are gone. Audiences are savvier, less forgiving, and the empire built on recycled nostalgia is starting to crack. The question now is, can Disney adapt before it's too late? If they keep chasing the same tired formulas, they'll only keep bleeding goodwill and revenue. If they take real creative risks again, if they dare to tell new stories that actually mean something, they might just reclaim some of the magic they've lost. But if they don't, then the collapse of Snow White won't just be a warning shot. It'll be the beginning of the end for the House of Mouse. In the end, Disney forgot the simple rule that made them great in the first place. True magic isn't remade, it's created.